Today, let's talk about a major issue for amateur players: the disconnect between practice and matches. This happens because what you drill in practice isn't what you face in a real game. The scenarios are completely different. So, the key question is, what should amateur players actually practice, and what should they avoid? What skills should you focus on at each stage of your development? Amateur players need to master these key points. First, many players spend half a year, or even a full year, just practicing basic forehand and backhand drives. Frankly, this is a waste of your time. Here is my advice for all amateur players. First, beginners must build a solid foundation in footwork. Why do amateurs struggle in matches? Because the ball goes to different spots. You must be able to cover the entire table. For your footwork, prioritize 3 types: the sigil step, the side shuffle, and in and out movement for short and long balls. These are essential. Second, focus on establishing the right stroke mechanics for your forehand and backhand. You must learn to use your upper arm and forearm independently in your strokes, on both your forehand and backhand. If they move as one unit, it will severely limit your power and your ability to control the ball's trajectory. The second fundamental skill is power control. Practice hitting at 30%, 50%, and 80% of your maximum power. Third, develop a correct stroke structure, focusing on a proper outside-in swing path for both your forehand and backhand. It isn't about how standard the movement is or a specific racket angle, but you must commit that outside-in swing path to memory. Third, you must master playing against backspin. Don't immediately start by trying to loop backspin. First, master the push. If you use a fast, topspin rally rhythm against backspin, you'll rush your timing and make contact too early. So, first get comfortable with the rhythm of a push rally. Learn to slow your tempo down. Practice pushing the ball just after the peak of its bounce. Get used to the feel of backspin and controlling the pace, which will improve your loop later. When you start learning to loop backspin, don't just focus on landing the ball. Break the movement down into parts. First, practice the feeling of your fingers and wrist brushing the ball to create friction. Then, integrate your body. You can shadow practice the footwork and body mechanics, like coiling and uncoiling, without a ball. Once the body movement is solid, add the arm swing. Your forehand and backhand loop against backspin will become consistent. Footwork, stroke mechanics, and handling backspin. Master these 3, and your fundamentals will be strong. Now, let's move to advanced skills: serving and receiving. This is where 80% of players get stuck. Why is service receive so difficult for amateurs? Because you're not giving it the proper focus. What you practice for receive is often completely different from the serves you face in a real match. For service receive, the most important skill is anticipation. At your club, play more matches, or stand by and watch your opponent's serves. Is it sidespin backspin or sidespin topspin? You have to learn to read the serve by seeing thousands of them. You don't even have to be playing, you can train your anticipation just by watching others. That's the first point. The second point is your first step quickness on receive. Most amateurs are too slow because their ankles lack explosiveness. Have you been practicing those ankle strengthening drills? Professional teams do them every single day. In table tennis, you need that explosive push-off from your ankles. If they're weak, your reaction will be slow. You must train your ankles for support and power. Practice bouncing on the balls of your feet, never letting your heels drop. Master this, and your first step will be much faster, solving the problem where your eyes see the ball but your body can't get there in time. In training, build that explosive ankle strength and muscle memory. Then you'll be able to react to surprise placements. This is a footwork issue. Third is spin. Technically, a high-quality loop with heavy brushing action can overcome any type of spin. So, amateurs must work tirelessly on their brushing technique. Even if you misread the spin slightly, a good brush will still land the ball. The 3 keys to receive are: use the opponent's power, and apply heavy friction. Most importantly, keep your stroke compact. Mentally, you have to be brave on your receive. Actively try to counter the spin instead of just avoiding it. Most amateur players are simply trying to evade the spin. Your instinct is to back away from a fast ball or just pat at a spinny or short ball. This is a passive mindset. You need a mental shift during service receive. Your mindset should be, I am going to solve this spin. If the serve is fast, try to drive through it with a forward motion. If it's short to your forehand, control it with a short push or a deep push. If it's long, brush it and loop it. Just tapping the ball and hoping it lands is still a form of avoidance. During receive, your goal is to analyze and neutralize the spin. With this mindset, your receive will improve dramatically within a few months. The third topic is serving. Why aren't your serves effective? It's because you rely on them for an outright point. Once your opponent just safely pushes the return, your follow-up attack is not ready. Remember, a great serve is always designed to set up your next attack. The two must work together. For instance, after serving short, I'm ready to power loop. After serving long to the backhand, I'm ready to attack the other side. After a short topspin serve, I'm anticipating a flick to counter loop. Your serve must complement your follow-up attack to be consistently effective. Therefore, design your serves around your attacking strengths. Second, amateurs neglect placement. Most serves go long to the backhand, with an occasional weak, short serve to the middle. Why are professional serves so effective? Because they are designed to move the opponent out of position. Remember this principle: from the same placement, use different spins. With the same spin, use different placements. Don't serve the same spin to the same spot repeatedly. If you serve to the middle, for example, mix in a sidespin topspin and a sidespin backspin. Stick to this principle, and your serve variations will constantly trouble your opponent. Once they get frustrated with their receive, you've won the mental battle. For serving, the most important element isn't spin or speed, it's placement. Break placements down into forehand, middle, and backhand, as well as short and long. Always think about placement first, then spin. Don't just serve with heavy spin to one spot. Against a skilled player, that's ineffective. Placement allows you to exploit your opponent's weaknesses. Once you find one, keep attacking it. Here's a strategic tip. Most players build their game from the backhand side. To become an elite player, you must learn to initiate from the forehand side. If you watch professional matches, you'll notice they often initiate rallies starting from the forehand side. Therefore, you should build your game around the short forehand serve, as it's the best placement to set up a long ball attack. Practice your short forehand serve with multiple spins: no spin, backspin, sidespin backspin, and sidespin topspin. A good serve here opens up the entire table. Finally, let's cover a few tactics. First, learn a fast, long serve. It's extremely effective against amateurs. After that rush serve, the return will most likely come to your backhand. Be ready to attack their wide forehand. This is my go-to opening tactic. Make sure it's a rush serve with minimal spin. A heavy sidespin serve will create a heavy return, making it difficult to change direction on your attack. But with a fast, flat serve, the return is usually a simple block, which is easier to redirect. When attacking, keep your racket angle closed and use their pace. The second tactic is the short sidespin topspin serve to the backhand corner, one I used a lot in my career. After this serve, don't return to a neutral stance. Pivot your body to a 45-degree angle to prepare for a forehand attack. If they flick, drive the ball to their wide forehand. If they push, attack their wide forehand. Always play to the open court, it's very effective. Tactic 3, serve backspin. If they push it back, hit a high-quality, spinny loop. Amateurs struggle against heavy spin and often block it off the table. If your loop isn't consistent, try this: when they push, you push it back deep and fast toward their middle. You don't need much wrist action. Just use your racket angle to control the trajectory and drive the ball deep. After your deep push, if they manage to loop, be ready to block. If they push again, you can loop it, as the backspin will be much weaker. Pros will almost always loop that ball, but amateurs tend to push. That's why I don't recommend power looping the first heavy push return if your fundamentals aren't solid. Tactic 4 is my favorite short forehand serve. Tell them it's coming, a sidespin topspin serve. Practice this with a hook, backhand, or pendulum serve. The short forehand is the placement that has won me the most points. When serving right sidespin serves, stand near the center line. For hook or backhand serves, serve from the middle. For left side spin or no spin serves, serve from your backhand corner. After a short forehand serve, let's talk about recovery. Do not step back. Even if they flick, it's a short-range shot. If they push, the ball will likely pop up. So after serving, hold your position close to the table, about 1 arm's length away. Position your right foot in the forehand half and your left in the backhand half. This stance covers your forehand. The backhand just requires a weight shift. If they can flick it to a wide angle from there, then they are just the better player. This is how I always recover. My next shot shuts them down, making them feel like there's no open court to hit. So, you must practice that short sidespin topspin serve, and focus on that recovery stance, right foot on the forehand side, left on the backhand. For this short forehand serve, don't practice sidespin backspin. In matches, it often went long, and I couldn't loop the heavy push return. So, focus on the sidespin topspin version and prepare for a topspin rally. The game becomes much simpler. Fifth, I recommend a long serve to the forehand. This is a very effective tactic, whether using a pendulum, hook, or rush serve. After a long forehand serve, your recovery is the same as the short serve. Stand in the middle to cover both corners. Whenever you serve to their forehand, your ready position must be on the center line, not in the backhand corner. Pro and amateur tactics differ. In a match, if you serve a spinny ball and get a return that's difficult to loop, just push it back. When pushing a spinny return, keep your racket angle flatter, and guide the ball forward. If you serve no spin and they push, be ready to attack the high ball. If you want to push it back, you need a more upright racket angle. Finally, some advice for amateurs regarding these 5 elements: placement, speed, spin, power, and variation. For professional players, power and speed are critical. Without them, you can't hit through an opponent. For amateur players, the single most important element is variation. Change your serve placements. Mix and spin with quick blocks, use a deep push or a sideswipe push. That's variation. Every top amateur player I've ever seen wins with variation, not with brute force. My recommended priority list is: first variation, second placement, third spin, fourth speed, and fifth power. If you trust my coaching, structure your practice around these priorities.